the movie we just watched. And we'll go ahead and start discussing some of the questions. One of the first questions that I wanted to discuss with y'all is, how do you guys think the gay rights movements affected the mental health of those involved at the time? So during the time of the gay rights movements, I believe it was very challenging on mental health because it was really difficult to be heard and understood during this time. There was a lot of myths about HIV and AIDS in general that made it even more challenging for those living with this condition to seek help for their mental health problems. And I just wanted to ask you, Raul, like, how do you think this movement affected those affected with HIV in the LGBTQIA plus community?
I think this movement was inspirational to those living with HIV in the LGBTQIA community because it was the first major example of change and justice being pursued. I think that this movement motivated others who had been discriminated against for having HIV and helped them be brave and courageous enough to take a stand.
And just a follow-up question on that, how do you think this heightened the stigma surrounding HIV in this community? Like, how does it make you feel?
Well, I think the movement did heighten it for sure, only because since the gay rights were being fought for, HIV was the only thing people were looking at or were thinking about. They wouldn't care that the LGBTQ plus community, they just wanted equal rights as everyone else in the country. So it makes me feel sad, mad about it, because as a community, it should have been at the time to get together and solve problems, not isolate people.
Yeah. And my other question is just going to be directed to Jessica. What have you learned regarding the intersection of mental health and physical health after watching this film?
Yeah, there's some great stuff right here, y'all. For real.
Okay, so after watching this film, I learned that it's important to have a good support system to help you fight against mental health and physical health. This film is a great example of having family and friends to help you through illness and stress. So physical health greatly impacts mental health, and it's important to ensure both components of someone's life are being taken care of.
Okay. And the next question is going to be directed to Kenley. How does this understanding carry over to modern day and your role as a student pharmacist?
As my role as a pharmacist, this film was very eye-opening for me personally. Just to be able to, in a way, connect with people who live in HIV, especially as student pharmacists, where we're always taught that, we have to be empathetic to our patients. And it gives me a whole different understanding. This film showed me that, people at one point were too scared to even shake hands to see if you had HIV. But yeah, even as a pharmacist, you taught me that, as a pharmacist, it's taught me that you can also, we can do a better job of educating people who have them stigmas towards people who are in that community or who have HIV. It's a viral infection. I can't shake your hand and give you AIDS.
Yeah, I agree. Next thing I just want to discuss with you all about COVID-19 and how it affected the members of the LGBTQIA community and their mental health and their resources available to them. So unfortunately, COVID-19 has affected the members of the LGBTQIA community negatively. So the individuals are already experiencing higher rates of social isolation than other groups in our community in general. So potentially making their underlying mental health issues such as suicide ideation even in higher rates. So COVID-19 put a strain on those individuals and further exposed them to discrimination. By that, I mean, for example, they felt greatly uncomfortable discussing or informing their employee that I can't do this job as of right now because of the pandemic, because my partner is immunocompromised, either due to cancer or HIV, etc. So there are no federal laws that protects them against employment and discrimination. So the fear of becoming jobless and losing their health insurance put them in a great amount of stress. Because, for example, like I said, if they did have HIV or if they had cancer or they needed to go to therapy, we all know that HIV medications are very expensive, cancer medications are very expensive. So that put them even